one of the most high-profile Senate races this year is in Ohio. And last night, as Ken just referred to, Ohio Senate candidates J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan held a televised debate, squaring off less than 30 days from the election in a race that could determine which party controls the United States Senate. Now, the Republican J.D. Vance faulted his opponents for his congressional record of ignoring crime, opening the border, and supporting any effort to promote abortion on demand. What are the key takeaways from the debate? Who's going to win that race? Joining me now to discuss it all is Aaron Baer. He's the president of the Ohio-based Center for Christian Virtue. They are the Ohio State partner of the Family Research Council. Aaron, good to see you today.
Great to see you, Joe.
Well, what's going on in this race? Did last night's debate change anything?
You know, really, it's not going to change much. The reality is Ohio has been a strong pro-life state for many years now and is moving more and more in that direction every day. So J.D. Vance is in strong position here as long as he sticks to his guns. And the reality is Tim Ryan was exposed as the guy that people have come to know him in the state. So it was a great opportunity for more people in the state to see who Tim Ryan was and really to understand what J.D. Vance stands for. But big picture, really for pro-lifers, for people who care about religious freedom and family, I think last night is going to be a blip on the radar that ultimately delivers a big victory for pro-lifers.
Now, Aaron, we're familiar with a lot of the arguments. I want to play a clip of one of the attacks that Tim Ryan made against J.D. Vance and give you a chance to respond. Let's play clip 7.
Kill and confront the extremist movement, of which J.D. Vance, unfortunately, is a part of, right? Who says that the president of the United States is intentionally trying to kill people with fentanyl? Who says that the election was stolen? J.D. Vance does. Who runs around with Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who wants to ban books? He's running around with Lindsey Graham, who wants a national abortion ban.
Aaron Baer, what's your reaction to that?
You know, at the end of the day, that Tim Ryan thinks it's wrong to try to protect 10-year-olds and under from being exposed to sexual materials, that Tim Ryan thinks that Lindsey Graham's 15-week bill is an extreme abortion bill. It just shows how extreme Tim Ryan is. He's trying to cover up the extremist he's become in Washington, very different than he was when he first ran for state Senate in Youngstown about 2 decades ago. But the reality is he's been pretty well exposed, and those comments really reflect that.
Yeah, and he brought up the abortion issue there, and Lindsey Graham, the idea that Lindsey Graham wants to have a national law prohibiting abortion before 15 weeks or after 15 weeks, rather, which would basically put the United States on par with the rest of the globe, other than places like China and Russia and North Korea, right, where you can do it anytime you want to. But J.D. Vance took on the abortion issue. One of the most memorable moments of the night was after Tim Ryan asked him about this case of a 10-year-old girl who had been raped. Here's JD's response. This has kind of gone viral. Let's play clip 10.
The thing the media and Congressman Ryan, they talk about this all the time. The thing they never mentioned is that poor girl was raped by an illegal alien, somebody that should have never been in this state in the first place. You voted so many times against border wall funding, so many times for amnesty, Tim. If you had done your job, she would have never been raped in the first place. Do your job on border security. Don't lecture me about opinions I don't actually have.
Aaron, was that effective?
That was a beautiful thing. Really, Joe, you and I have been watching candidates run for office for many years now. And this is one of the first times I feel like I've seen a candidate, especially in Ohio, not hide to the left when they come attacking on the abortion issue and stand your ground and really take it back to them. And JD did that so well. I think one of the things that we really can't underestimate about what JD Vance did, and really what shows the impact of organizations like FRC and CCV on the nation, is that candidates used to try to hide. Pro-life candidates used to try to do everything they could to hide from their pro-life stances, their pro-family stances. Well, last night you had a major party candidate in J.D. Vance stand up and defend his pro-life views, but also take it to the left for their radical positions on things like abortion and the border, to stand on things like protecting family and take it to the left on their radical transgender views. This is massive progress that we weren't seeing on the stage from conservative candidates 20 years ago. And it shows how really Christian voters have changed the electorate in America.
Yeah, and to that point, there is no question that post-Dobbs, the Democratic Party and the left decided that abortion was going to be the issue that they were going to win on. And as you just referenced, Republicans, people on the right, have generally been reluctant to talk about the abortion issue. Do you think that the Democrats' decision to run only on the issue of abortion has required Republicans and conservatives and on the right to develop that muscle, develop those talking points, develop the ability to respond to this issue because it's the only thing Democrats have been talking about?
They're running a campaign made for Twitter, not for actually winning voters. So please keep talking about how radical you are on abortion. One, first and foremost, in this economy where so many families are dealing with massive inflation, gas prices that are over the roof, a public education system that's not just morally corrupt but academically failing. They're talking about issues that are that are impacting very few people, and then actually their position on those issues are so fringe and so radical, abortion up to birth, that they're losing people along the way. They get a lot of likes, a lot of retweets on Twitter. They create their own little Washington buzz, but the actual voters are not with them. So the more they talk about this, the more people run to candidates like J.D. Vance.
And I wonder if that won't end up being a silver lining to all of this, because there has been some concern that the abortion issue was going to drive people away from Republicans, but now they've been forced to become better at talking about it. You're right. There's a lot of people who don't realize how extreme the Democrats are, and maybe this is the moment that they are going to realize that. But Aaron, they want to talk exclusively about abortion. You're in Ohio. You talk to people all the time there. What issues are most important to Ohio voters as they go vote for Senate and other races?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we need to understand a state like Ohio has very clearly become a pro-life state. This has been an issue. We've been working on things like the heartbeat bill in Ohio for 10 years. And actually, people who have either voted or pledged support for the heartbeat bill, which bans abortion once a heartbeat is detected. We passed it in 2019. FRC was a big part of that with CCV. They've overwhelmingly swept statewide offices. So first and foremost, states like Ohio are very clearly pro-life. But in this moment we're in today, I think you're saying obviously those economic issues matter, but something that J.D. Vance did really well is understanding the impacts of drugs and how it's destroying families and communities and businesses. The reality is Ohio is at record opioid deaths right now. We've surpassed where we were when the pharmaceutical companies were cutting more pills and subscriptions than there were people in America. We have more deaths today than that. And it's primarily because of the flow of illegal drugs from Mexico into Ohio. The reality is Biden's border policy is not just a border state issue. It's a whole national issue. And people like Tim Ryan have enabled it and are wreaking havoc because of all the fentanyl coming into our state, because of all the illegal drugs and the impact of legalized recreational marijuana in Ohio and allowing for more drugs to be brought in through that. And you can't tell the difference between the legal weed and the illegal weed. These issues have ravaged our community, and they're what's front and center for most people, not Tim Ryan's abortion up till birth policies.
Aaron, do you think Ohio voters are convinced of that story that you just described there now, where the border connection, the border policy really is what's wreaking havoc in their homes? Is that a voting issue for Ohioans?
No, it really is, Joe, more so than ever before. Again, because this is one of these issues. Again, the Democrats like to talk about really their elitist. You just had that whole conversation about Tulsi Gabbard, talking about elitist issues that don't actually connect with real people's lives. The reality is the way the left talks about things like racism has no grounding in reality, right? It's just not the state of America, but they want to just talk about that all the time. What is impacting people is inflation. What's impacting people is a failing and corrupt educational system. What is impacting people is drugs and crime and violence, and all of those things are going up.
Yeah, I've got to cut you off because we're out of time, but this has been fun. We'll do it again. Aaron Baer, Center for Christian Virtue, thanks for joining us.